ToddYoungONLINE presents Young Tales. Tales for the young and the young at heart. Today's story, Bulfinch's mythology, King Arthur and his knights. The story of Tristram and Isolde. In the western seas beyond the cliffs of Cornwall, there once lay a land called Lyonesse, or Lyonesse, now lost beneath the ocean's waves. From that vanished country came a prince whose name would echo through all ages, Tristram of Lyonesse, warrior, harper, and lover, whose joy and sorrow were one. King Meletius of Lyonesse was a noble and valiant lord, beloved of his people and famed for the chase. Yet one day, while hunting, he vanished, carried off by enchantment. His queen, Isabella, sister to King Mark of Cornwall, went in search of him through the wild forest and desolate moors. There, far from home, her strength failed her, and she gave birth to a son, naming him Tristram, for sorrow and for trial. She died before she could hold him. Her faithful squire, Guernonale, carried the child to safety and reared him in honor, teaching him music, letters, and the arts of knighthood. In time, Tristram grew tall and strong, fair-haired, noble of spirit, and skilled alike with sword and harp. When Tristram came to Cornwall, King Mark received him gladly, for the boy's courage and courtesy charmed all hearts. Soon after, there came to Tintagel a fierce knight named Morant of Ireland, brother to the queen of that land, demanding tribute long owed. The Cornish knights hung their heads, for none dared face the Irish champion. But Tristram rose from his seat and said, "My lord, grant me knighthood, and I shall defend your crown and Cornwall's honor." King Mark, though fearful, agreed. The combat was fierce and long. At last Tristram smote Morant through the helm, cleaving his head in twain. But a shard of his sword broke and lodged in the wound, a mark that fate would not forget. Tristram himself was wounded by a poisoned lance. Though the healers worked their art, the venom spread, and he fell near death. To seek a cure, Tristram took ship across the sea. Driven by storms, he came to a fair and distant shore, Ireland, the very land of his slain foe. There, weak and fevered, he took up his harp and played beside the waves. The music reached the palace where the king and queen of Ireland listened with wonder. They summoned him to court, knowing him only as Tramtris, the wandering harper. Tramtris, the wandering harper. Sorry. The queen herself tended his wounds while her daughter Isolde the Fair learned song and minstrelsy, learned how to sing from his hand. Day by day, their voices mingled, and love, unspoken yet strong, grew between them. At a grand tournament, Tristram saw Isolde smile upon another, the Saracen knight Palamedes, who sought her favor. Jealousy burned in him. Though still weak, Tristram donned his armor in secret, entered the lists, and cast Palamedes to the ground. But in his triumph, his old wound reopened, and once more he lay near death. As Isolde tended him, a court maiden discovered that the broken piece from Morant's skull fit Tristram's blade. The queen, horror-struck, cried out that her brother's killer was among them. Tristram was seized and brought before the king. Tristram said calmly, "I slew Morant in fair combat, to free my land from shame. By storm and chance I was cast upon your shores. I came not as a foe, but as a guest." Though the queen wept for vengeance, the king's heart softened. "He is brave and noble," said the people. "He has done no wrong." So Tristram was spared, but banished from Ireland on pain of death. Tristram returned to Cornwall, where King Mark, delighted by his tales, asked, "Tell me of this Irish princess, this Isolde, whose name you speak with such warmth." Tristram's words were full of fire and longing. King Mark, hearing of her beauty, conceived a desire to wed her himself. He pressed his nephew to swear a vow, upon holy relics, to fulfill a boon, whatever it might be. When the oath was sworn, Mark revealed his will. "Go thou to Ireland, and bring me the fair Isolde to be my queen." Oh, Tristram's heart froze. Bound by his word, he could not refuse. Thus love became his doom. Tristram sailed once more for Ireland, aided now by the memory of his valor. There he met the king and queen again, and through noble service won their favor. The old wounds of the past were forgiven. When the time came, Isolde was given to him to bear to Cornwall as Mark's bride. Her mother, fearing the girl's sorrow, gave her maid Bringwain a small vial, a love draught brewed by a fairy, meant to bind Isolde's heart to her husband. But fate played its hand. As the ship crossed the sea, the day grew hot. The bottle lay forgotten among their things. Thirsting, Tristram poured the wine and shared it with Isolde. They drank, and in that instant love claimed them forever. Neither knew what they had done. The potion bound their souls with an unbreakable spell. Joy and torment, passion and sorrow entwined. When they reached Cornwall, Isolde became Mark's queen, and Tristram her truest knight. In the days of feasting that followed, a stranger minstrel came before King Mark, the Saracen Palamedes, still burning with love for Isolde. He played his harp and demanded a boon before he would sing. Mark, bound by the law of knighthood, agreed, and Palamedes claimed the queen as his reward. The king, bound by his word, could not refuse. But Tristram returned and heard what had passed. He seized his stringed harp and went to the sea. There he played so mournfully that Isolde, already embarked, knew the sound and wept. Palamedes, moved by her sorrow, turned the ship back to shore. As she landed, Tristram took her horse's reins and cried, "What we won by the harp, he has lost by the rote." He bore her into the forest until she herself bade him stop the duel that followed. Isolde pleaded, "Sir Palamedes, if you love me, do this one thing. Depart and speak my greeting to Queen Guinevere at Arthur's court. Say there are but two true ladies in the world, herself and I, and two lovers only, hers and mine." The Saracen bowed, tears in his eyes, and rode away. The lovers hid for a week in secret joy before Tristram returned Isolde to her husband, saying softly, "Reward minstrels henceforth with gold, not with queens." But peace was not theirs. Mark's jealousy, fanned by a treacherous knight, brought ruin upon them. Spying through a keyhole, the villains saw them seated over a chessboard, their hands entwined, their thoughts elsewhere. He summoned the king, who burst in with sword drawn, but Tristram, sparing up, parried the blow and drove his uncle through the halls of Tintagel, striking him with the flat of his blade, crying, "A king should rule with honor, not deceit." None dared intervene. From that day, King Mark's love turned wholly to hate. Tristram was banished and Isolde locked in a tower beside the river. But Tristram could not leave her. He dwelt in the green wood, hunting by day, sleeping by night beneath the stars. Sometimes he carved messages upon white willow twigs and set them adrift down the river. When Isolde saw them float beneath her window, she knew he was near. With him was faithful hound Hundane, silent in the chase, whose loyalty would one day outlive his master's peace. So began the long sorrow of Tristram and Isolde. Lovers bound by fate, divided by honor, yet forever drawn together. Their story would travel from court to court, sung by bards and minstrels, retold in every tongue, for it spoke to the oldest truth of all, that love, when true, may be the noblest joy and the deepest wound. And here's where we end for today. Young Tales is produced and narrated by Todd Young from ToddYoungONLINE. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and join us next time for another story. Thank you for your support.